Welcome back, everyone, to Data Science for Everyone. Today, we're going to be looking at UI as a tree with React.js. So let's get started. So React and a React app is taking shape with many different components being nested inside of each other. Now, how exactly does React keep track of each of the components and their structure? So React and many other UI libraries use a UI model that is a tree. Okay, so you can think about your app as a tree, and it's very useful for us to understand the relationship between each of the components. To understand this, though, we kind of need to have maybe a bit of an example, so to speak. So let's actually go on and create up kind of like a render tree example. Now, one major feature of components is the ability to encompass components of other components. So as we nest features and components, we have this concept of a parent and child component, where each parent component may itself be a child of another component. So when we render a React app, we can model this relationship in a tree. This is known as our render tree. So let's actually go on and take a look at this. So I'm going to grab up app. I'm going to go on here and delete everything in it. And we're going to kind of create up again, a business case example of maybe a customer feedback system, okay? So in this example, we're going to be a retail company, and we want to enhance our customer experience by actively collecting and responding to customer feedback. So our company, let's say, is going to sell a wide range of products, both online and in physical stores. So to manage this feedback effectively, we decide to build up a customer feedback management app. Okay. So, and we're going to integrate into their existing customer service platform. So the problem is that we need something that's dynamic. We need it to be engaging. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're going to actually create up our application, and we're going to have some component breakdowns here, okay? So the first thing is we want to have some nice looking text, okay? So we're going to, and again, as I said, we're building up the components here. So we're going to do something, we'll go down here, export default, and we're going to create up a function, and this function is going to be our app. It's not going to take in any parameters, and it's going to return in here a div. And what we want in here is a couple things here. So I'm going to call this one text. Okay, and this text here is going to have a title. Text here is going to be feedback center. Okay, and then we're going to have another one that is going to, another component that we want to say feedback collector, and we want another one to have a thank you. Maybe let's make it a thank you note for this, okay? And what we're going to have each of these do here, this thank you note is going to take a year, and we want new date dot get full year. All right, so this is just going to grab the new year, and it'll put that in. Great. So now we need to import each of these. Okay, so import text from, and I'll call this text. Okay, and then we'll import feedback collector from, and again, here will be feedback collector. And we'll do one more, import in here, thank you note from, again, thank you note. And here, let's go and put the / back in there. All right, good. So now we have each of these. Let's go through and make each of our pieces of code here. So this text, okay, is going to be used to display headings and instructions in an engaging format. So to making the feedback process more appealing. Now the next part we're going to do is going to be the feedback collector. And this is a component that is dynamically going to render different types of feedback forms based on the product or service. Now, this includes a mechanism to cycle through questions or feedback prompts. Then we're going to have the thank you note here. And this is a component displayed after feedback submission and thanking the customer for their contribution and offering up maybe a discount code or some other incentive, okay? So let's go on and do that. So let's go on and create up a new file here. And this one is going to be our text.js. And let's also, let's go on and actually create up all of them. So let's also do our feedback collector.js. And let's do our other one here, and this is going to be thank you note.js. And we may let's see what else we may want to do here. All right, and we're going to make one more here, and because actually for our feedback collector here, we actually also need to have some data as well. So let's go on and create up one more here, and this is going to actually be our questions. So feedback questions.js. Okay, and I'm actually just going to copy. I have some questions in here. I'm just going to put in. Okay, and all this is an array here. Okay, and what this is actually doing is just exporting this array here to have our question. So how satisfied were you with your shopping experience? Would you recommend our products to others? And what can we do to improve our services? And again, you could always add in whatever other questions that you wanted in here. Okay, so the next thing that I want to take care of, because we just added in this data, let's also go on and take care of the feedback collector, because it's actually pretty important here. It's kind of the main meat of our function anyways. So what we need is import everything as React from React. Okay, we also want to import our feedback questions. Okay, and we're also going to import in our text from our /text. Oops. Okay. Now, what we're going to want to do is be able to utilize each of these pieces here. So what we'll want is to go on and export out default. We want our function, and our function here is our feedback collector. It's going to take in a child or children in this instance, okay, because it can take in multiple. Now inside here, we're going to do a const. We're going to do our index. We want our set index here, and we are, like we had in the others, we're using our React dot use state. And again, we're setting that initial state to 0. We're going to have a constant, going to create up a question, and that is our feedback questions of our index. And then we're going to constant, next question. Okay, and this is basically going to be our set index. And again, here it'll be index plus 1. Okay, and then this is going to be have the modulo here, feedback questions, okay, dot length. Okay, so what this is going to do, this is going to make sure that it'll go through each of the questions in turn. And then once it hits, there are no more questions, we're not going to have any problems. So next we'll return here div, and here we want a p tag, and we'll say something like, please share your feedback. Okay. Then we want to have our text. I guess I should actually, we'll go back and do the text next. Text is equal to a question. Okay. The next is we'll have a button. Here, and that button will on click. Here we will have it do the next question. And inside here it'll say next question. And then we will have it return out here the children. All right, so since we have our basics set up, we also need our text. So let's go. Oh, did we have not made one yet, have we? Oh, is there one there? There's text there. Oh, there is text. Okay. All right, so now let's go on and do the text. Okay, because again, what we're using, this will help us make some pretty text. Okay, so let's see here. How do we want to have this? Let's go and maybe we wanted to call this maybe like text style or something like that. But let's do export default function, and here we called it text. It is excuse me, text, and it is going to take in, it's going to take in two things in here. It's going to take in the title and the text itself. Okay, so there's a couple different things that we'll discuss here, but we'll talk about it in turn. So let's return the title. Okay, now this is going to be basically question mark here, H1. So basically what we're going to want to do is returning two different types of titles. Okay, so we'll do one for maybe the main heading. Okay, and we'll also do another one here, and let's do H3. Okay, and this is for secondary text. All right, so this is going to give it a nice, so we can have two different styles going on. So class name, let's say fancy title, and then here we're going to have our text, and then here we'll do the same thing. This is class name here, and we'll do fancy cursive. And again, in here, we'll have our text. All right, for a secondary. All right, so we have each of these. Now let's go on and finish this up with our thank you note in here, and it will do export default function. And here it is a thank you note. This is taking in the year. And we're going to return here a p tag, a paragraph tag. For Pete's sake, having a hard time today. All right, a paragraph tag. And what do we want in here? Thank you for your feedback. Okay, and we'll put in here, we want a copyright. So let's see if we have a copyright. Oops. Yeah, we have a little copyright tag here, so we'll put in a copyright and year. Okay, and maybe this will be signed off for my company. Oops. My company. All right, so what's nice with this? Okay, so let's actually go on and maybe take a look at it, see how it runs, see if we had any mistakes. So let's do npm start. All right, so it's rendered. Let's take a look here. So we have feedback center. Please share your feedback. Would you recommend our products to others? Thank you for your feedback. Company 2024, my company. So notice here, it looks nice. It has all of our questions. And again, you could maybe add in a little text box or something else where they can fill them out, or star ratings, whatever you'd feel like. But if you notice here, our fancy text didn't actually sort out. So what we actually need in here is we need to have in here some CSS. So we can go through and we can add in, and I'll go into our app.css in here, and I'm going to go inside. And you know what? We can actually go on and import this. So we should be able to go here and do something like import dot / and again here app.css to be able to have access to those. So let's go on and see if any of these actually work with it. It doesn't work with it. So again, go in here, let's delete everything and let's add in some CSS of our own to make it look nice and pretty, so to speak. So all we had in here is maybe a couple different things. So we could have, well, let's go to, oops. Let's actually close some of these so we can get to it. All right, so we have fancy title and fancy cursive. Those are the two that we actually need for this. So let's go on and add in fancy title. Fancy.title here. And let's do our font size. We'll make it 24 pixels. Then we want the text alignment here to be center. We want the color here to be, let's make it some shade of blue. So let's do, I have a couple here. So 7007, that's a navy blue. So let's make it a little bit lighter. All right, that works. Then let's do margin dot bottom here, and let's give it 20 pixels. All right, so the next thing that we need, and if I scroll over here, notice feedback is now in the center. So let's go on and add a dot fancy dot cursive here, and we'll do font dot family here, and we're going to call this cursive sans serif. Okay, and again, you can change this as you like. Again, I'm not saying anything for it. I'm just making it look a little bit nice here. Let's do font size of 18 pixels. And let's do a color here of green. So let's do it's 28A 745. Here is a dark light green here. All right, now one last thing we may want to do, and again, I'm just messing with this a little bit. You could do whatever you want with these, however you want. But one more thing, and I've had people kind of ask me about this before, is how to change up like a button on hover. Okay, so let's actually add that in just because I've had that question before. So let's do button on hover. Oops. Button on hover here, and let's say background color, and let's make it aquamarine. Okay, notice here that changes as we go about it. And again, if you wanted to add in some fanciness to the button, we can. Adding in just some background colors. Okay, and I'm just gonna grab some boilerplate that I have here to make it look a little bit nice. So notice here now, everything kind of looks, well, it looks horrible to be honest, but again, you have the idea of what we can do with our UI trees. We have a way to understand how we can add components, how we can interact with each of these. And so let's go back to actually discussing what's really happening here. Okay, so what's happening with this? The app.js is going to render our feedback collector and our fancy text. Okay. Oh, fancy text, the way I close fancy text. So let me open fancy text. And actually, maybe it's better to actually look at it in this way. So actually, I guess I should open it up over here. This will maybe help you guys just a little bit here. So we have our text.js, feedback collector, feedback questions, the thank you. Okay, so the app.js, okay, is dealing with the renderer of the feedback collector and our text. Okay. Now if we go to our feedback questions, but our feedback collector here, our feedback collector is actually going through and it is dealing with the rendering of the text as well. Okay. And it's also dealing with the render of the thank you here. Okay, or specific, and also like, for example, this also is rendering back into the app.js. So this allows us to deal with a lot. Now we have our modular dependency tree, right? So if we go to our app.js and notice here, it is importing a lot of different things. It's importing text, it's importing our feedback collector, it's importing our notes. And it's importing each of those. And then in turn, we have, for example, here from our feedback collector, we're grabbing in our feedback questions and we're grabbing in the text as well. So now we're able to show how things are rendered together and how they move forward with each other. So Trees are basically a common way for us to represent the relationships between entities. Now, they're often used to model our UI. Now, dependency trees represent the module dependencies in a React app. So again, each of those dependencies are going to require, again, they're going to be built on something else. Dependency trees are used to build tools to bundle the necessary code to ship an app. Again, that's why we start having so many different JavaScript scripts. Okay, and again, in this case, they're modules. Now, dependency trees are also useful for debugging large bundle sizes that slow time to paint or expose opportunities for optimizing the code in the bundle. So again, you can go through and you can optimize each piece of code to make sure that it runs faster and compiles better than the next. Again, if you guys like this and you want more of this content, please comment, subscribe, and hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.